Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I'm back with another review. And today, it is now time to experience the legacy of Transformers, as I am pleased to bring to you from the new Transformers Legacy line. This is Core Class Skywarp and Iguanus. I got these figures from the Command Store. They're still available, as well as in a set with their third member of Wave 1, Hot Rod. If you remember, that figure was initially released in the Kingdom line as a little bit of a backdoor preview to Legacy. And I have to be honest with you, looking at the overall figures, we're starting off with a repack, a repaint, and one new tooling. And it just comes off as a little weak to me. But I think we'll get into it more as I get into the review. So what we'll do is we'll start off taking a look at Skywarp, and then Iguanus, and then I'll show you the combined weapon mode. So let's start off right now. Okay, starting things off is Skywarp. Skywarp is a straight repaint of Starscream, but the null rays have been omitted, which I think is a major mistake. And in its place is this giant tuning fork weapon of sorts. Seeing as how, well, I think which would have worked better with Thundercracker, since I think Thundercracker did have some Sonic-based weaponry, but it pegs in underneath the cockpit, which, spoilers for the combined weapon mode, that peg right there causes a lot of issues, but that's what it looks like. Not much to it in the jet mode. As I said, it's missing the null rays, which I had seen some leaked samples that the null rays were molded and painted. So I don't know what's going on. I hope this isn't a situation where down the line we actually end up getting like a deluxe version of Core Class Skywarp, and it comes with the null rays. But we have covered the transformation before when we did our review of Core Class Starscream from Kingdom. So we'll just go from this to this, and I've gone ahead and brought in Starscream. Transformation is exactly the same. If you liked it, then you'll like Skywarp. If you didn't like it, because it is a little involved, I feel, for a core class figure, you're not going to like Skywarp. On the plus side, the joints are as tight, if not a little bit tighter, than Starscream. Unfortunately, being a repaint, we do have a little bit of a paint issue. The right hand, the whole fist hole is a little too small to hold the weapon, so I have to use the left hand without, forcing it in there. Also, the first time you transform Skywarp and open up that chest, I had to use a spudger because it's just a little tight, and I just clipped my nails. But yeah, as you can see, just the color inversions, like on the original G1 toys, the classic toys, basically any iteration of Skywarp, this is the color scheme as compared to Starscream. And also, as you can see, we are missing the null rays, or whatever they were called on Skywarp. Giving you a look at the figure from the rear, you can see the wings, the actual nose cone. It's all there. It is what it is. So yeah, I'm a little light on my feelings for Skywarp, but I think all things considered, I mean, I would have preferred maybe a new figure first, since this is Wave 1, but it is what it is, and I definitely would have preferred the null rays instead of the giant tuning fork. But let us pause and take a look at Iguanus. Okay, here's Iguanus, and right off the bat, one thing I have to mention is, if you noticed it in the beginning of the video, and right now, I have to, in motorcycle mode, I have to have Iguanus leaning on something, because, oh, well, nope, it won't stand up on its own. They didn't mold in a kickstand or anything, which is okay. I kind of understand that. This is actually a really cool vehicle, a really cool transformation, how they worked everything in. Iguanus comes much like Skywarp with another fancy looking tuning fork type device. Again, this is supposed to be its weapon, which looks nothing like any of the weapons the original Pretender came with, or even the Prime Master shell that was released during Powers of the Prime. But it is meant to combine with Skywarp's and Rodimus's Hot Rod sword, but we'll get to that a bit later on. Bike does roll quite nicely. Transformation is actually a little bit surprisingly complex for this figure. First thing what you want to do is when you want to come to the back here and you want to separate the legs and feet from the rear wheel. They peg in. The feet peg into two posts here on the wheel, and the legs tab into a slot on the seat, which is actually also Iguanus's tail. Iguanusi. So when going to motorcycle mode, it might be a little bit easier to peg the feet in first and then futz around to get that tab to slide in, but it will go in. Straighten the legs out, just like so. Let me make a little adjustment here. Just like so. Flip the feet up and rotate them around so they are facing towards what will be the kneecaps of robot mode. But then go ahead and rotate at the knee so everything is facing downward, just like so. I guess at this point you can rotate the waist around so it's kind of facing normally. Probably should have done that a little bit later before you have the wheel down, but it is what it is. Coming around to the front of the motorcycle, obviously these are the arms. What you want to do is just unpeg the back of the hands from the wheel. They also do right underneath the armpit joint, kind of slide in on that purple section there. There is no armpit joint. There's no like little tab. It's all just leverage. That's how you do it. Rotate the fists at the forearms so you see those back bits facing down, and then bring the arms up. Next, what you want to do is rotate the figure up so that you're now looking at the back of the motorcycle. This section, which was the rear wheel, is going to come up and sit behind the right shoulder, and this section right here will come around and no, you know what? I screwed up. This section will come around, which was the front wheel, will sit behind the right shoulder. This section, which was the rear wheel, will come up and sit behind the left shoulder, and you'll form this little opening back section. And then what you'll do is, now this is the front of the motorcycle. I thought something was misassembled, but you just got to use a little force. This will snap into the chest, but this purple hinge section right here behind the figure's head will also snap in and out of place. So you have to make sure it's snapped all the way forward for this covering to come over the robot head. So bring it down, fold it up. It will peg into place, securing the wheels. And there you have Iguanus in its robot mode. Really kind of cool here. Obviously, this is a combination of the original Pretender shell as well as the inner robot, which turned into a motorcycle. And it's funny, the original toy, which I didn't have, you basically just folded up the bot and then slapped on the wheels, and that's how you got the motorcycle. So I like how the wheels are incorporated. And of course, Iguanus can hold its weapon. At least this looks more like a possible blaster. But then again, It also does not look like any of the weapons the original toy came with. Now, due to the transformation, you do get a lot of articulation here. Head's on a ball joint, ball-jointed shoulders, ball-jointed elbows, rotating waist, ball-jointed hips, ball-jointed knees, and something that I really don't see that often on core class figures, ankle pivot. I really do like the gold, the red. I mean, obviously, this is going to be my favorite figure of this wave. I mean, Hot Rod being, looked at in Kingdom, but, I mean, I guess you can say Hot Rod. I mean, but we'll get on to that a little bit in a moment, because right now, it's time to show you the combined weapon mode. Okay, so here are the three weapons from the Wave 1 core figures of Transformers Legacy. Hot Rod's sword, Skywarp's tuning fork, and Iguanus's too many S's. Iguanus's nicer looking tuning fork. Now the instructions do show you how to put this together, so we will follow their directions. What you want to do is take this piece right here. This is normally how Skywarp would hold it. You're going to turn it around so the red bits will be like a handguard. And it really doesn't matter if you have this side facing forward or this side with the peg, because the next part is you want to grab Iguanus' weapon, and apparently these red segments are supposed to face downward, and as you bring it in, you come up with the problem. The instructions show the picture on Hot Rod's packaging holding this weapon shows that it's supposed to go in straight like this. Well, here's the problem. That long peg gets in the way. So you are going to have to peg this together, and that it's going to be, this section is going to be off center. Now, the final step is you grab the sword and you just peg it in like that. Line it up the best you can. Make it a little straight. I think this is all supposed to have some magnetic energon powers coming through it. And there you have the sword. Now, let's go ahead and bring in Hot Rod from Kingdom, which is also Hot Rod from Legacy. Really, really don't like those previews, because then it kind of, you're not getting the full experience of the play pattern. And as you can see, to hold the blade straight, he has to hold the sword a little off center to compensate. And I almost want to say, looking at the packaging, it kind of looks like that. I mean, recreating the pose on the box. Yeah, there's Hot Rod. By the power of Cybertron, I have the power. I mean, it's a sword. It's a nice sword. Obviously, it does have a larger 5mm port, so you can give it to a larger deluxe class figure. But to be honest, in a deluxe figure's hand, it looks like it would be kind of small. So it'd be more like a dagger of sorts. But yeah, that's about it. I'm not going to display any of these figures. Well, unfortunately, I'm not displaying anything but the Studio Series 86, but I wouldn't display this combined weapon form because I wouldn't want to lose the accessories. So we'll pause and we'll come back with my final thoughts. Okay, I'm including Hot Rod in this final shot to show the entirety of Legacy Core Class Wave 1. Since for most of you, I think this is going to be how you're going to find Hot Rod, since I did hear there were problems finding that final wave of Kingdom Core Class figures, which I think Hasbro kind of knew. And why needed an extra wave when these figures, Hot Rod and Blaster are getting re-released? I don't know. But here it is. Recommendations, thoughts. If you're a Seeker fan, you're going to buy Skywarp, but just keep in mind you're not getting a complete figure because it doesn't come with the null rays. Hot Rod, I've said what I've said before. about the figure. Hopefully the joints if on the Legacy release will be a little tighter. I think it's kind of cool. I like what it does. The sword was really nice. The combined sword looks really cool and gives him that duality and symmetry with the Commander class Kingdom Rodimus Prime figure. Iguanus really surprised me. I had no real attachment to the character from my childhood. The transformation was like really unique in terms of the seat, the tail becoming the seat, the way the legs came together. You almost really had parts hidden, and I can see like a Japanese motorcycle maybe being repainted and modified to look like Iguanus's motorcycle mode. So out of the three, if you don't have a hot rod, obviously get hot rod, get Iguanus. Skywarp, I think you can maybe wait for a sale. Now watch, Skywarp's going to be impossible to find. But really, that's about it. To recommend one, I gotta go with Hot Rod because it's really just a cool small scale Hot Rod figure. Can go with your Generation Select Star Convoy. But if I'm going to recommend two, it's Hot Rod and Iguanus. So that's about it for the review. If you like this review, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. That helps tell YouTube that my channel should be exalted and helps people find my videos when doing searches, being promoted at the end of other people's videos in their recommended tabs and stuff like that. I do have a Patreon card here in the corner. Hyperlink in the description below as I take out Hot Rod, being a little with my gesturing and what have you. $1 a month, $12 a year. I'm sure by now most of you know the little spiel. But as I always say, if you can't swing the Patreon, don't worry about it. Your views are more than thanks enough. Patreon is just a cherry on top of an already generous sundae. So that's about it. This is your old pal Chuck for the Legacy Core Class Wave 1 figures, Skywarp, Iguanus, and Hot Rod. We will see you next time.